Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and in this video I'm going to show you a couple of games from some completely fair, balanced and not overpowered at all machines. We are of course talking about those mid-tier Japanese heavy tanks, kicking off proceedings with Critins. Critins? Let's go with Critins. I'm going to call him Crit for short. Critins 2 in the OI Experimental, the Tier 5 Japanese heavy tank. So, the first thing you may immediately note about this machine is that it's enormous. The second thing is that for a machine of this size, and I should also point out this thing weighs 100 tons, it's actually relatively mobile. The armour is not particularly great, but the gun does 300 alpha damage at Tier 5. There's a Stug 3G. And there's a shot, it hits, it penetrates, it sets the Stug on fire. One shot, one hit, one penetration, one kill. That's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of this match, I'm going to be honest with you. So there we go. Crit has his first kill. He is literally, we're here on Ensk by the way, but he is literally just driving down the middle of the map. Ooh, artillery piece. SU-5, and there's kill number 2. Scoreline is currently 2-2. Panzer 4H. Ooh, the Panzer 3-4 from his team ahead of him is putting some damage in, and there's kill number 3. Stug 3G or SU-85. Which Tier 5 tank destroyer is going to feel Crit's wrath first? No, he seems to want to go for the SU-85. Take out the Soviet Behemoth. Well, it's not really a Behemoth, but either way, it is taken out. There's kill number 4. And oh my lord, we've found the nest of tank destroyers. SU-85. Ah, what? Very disappointed. Did not immediately kill that guy. Very disappointed indeed. Ah, well, gonna have to let the second shot do the job then. So disappointing. Oh, well, never mind. There's kill number 5. And can we make it 6? Oh, there's a nice big shot into that KV-220. Not enough to kill him, but certainly enough to make him reconsider his life choices. And there's the second shot for a casual top gun. I should point out, this gun with regular armor piercing ammo has 300 alpha damage and 130 pen. If you want to load a bit of premium ammo, the pen goes up to 150, which is not that much of a leap. So to be honest, you could probably basically run this without premium ammo and you'd be fine. Hello, Mr. T-3485. Sorry, not T-3485, this is a Tier 5 match. T-34. There's a nice big shot into him. And the friendly team are capping, and there's kill number 7 on the Stug 3. Just wait for this guy. Oh, no. PZSFL? No. T-34 makes it a Radley Walters. Ram the PZSFL. Unfortunately leaving Crit on 129 health here, but actually good gun depression on this machine, which might surprise you, for kill number 9. Panzer 38 NA over there. Ooh, he's being a brave little soldier. There's a Radley Walters medal. And there's only 2 of them left now on the enemy team. And the friendly team are still trying to cap this. It's actually a relatively close result. The friendly team can still lose this match. Matilda 4, oh, that shot missed. Very disappointing. And is he going to reload in time? No, he's not going to be able to catch any of them out. So this game is still actually completely up for grabs, despite the fact that Crit has pulled off a very efficient Pools medal. I've never had a Pools medal. Maybe I should go and play this tank, then I would. Matilda 4. Nope, that shot missed, and Crit is now all by himself. Oh dear. Well, Matilda 4 makes it kill number 11, and that just leaves the Panzer 4H. No idea what gun this guy's using. If he's using the 75, he can't one-shot Crit, or very unlikely to. If he's using the 105, one-shot is a distinct possibility. And there's kill number 12. And that's the game. Yeah. This machine is completely fair, balanced, and not overpowered at all. Let's go and have a look at those results. So that was Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Arsonist, Fighter, no sorry not Fighter, Duelist, Fire for Effect, High Caliber Top Gun, and of course that Pool's Medal. Crit managed to pick up 3,489 damage in a tier 5 tank in a tier 5 game. Holy sweet Jesus. I haven't actually counted it up, but I would not be surprised if Crit did more damage that game than the rest of his team combined. I would not be surprised at all. In fact, a quick bit of mental addition indicates that may well be the case. 3,489 damage, 12 kills, 1,833 base experience. 18 shots fired, 15 hits, 15 pens. Most of that damage was from relatively close range. 5 hits received, 3 pens, 2 didn't, 1 splash. 12 enemy tanks damaged. All of the ones he hit, he also killed, so that's 12 enemy tanks killed, travelled just over 1 kilometre, made a 35,000 credit profit, and yeah. Gosh. What are you gonna do? So there we go, that was the OI experimental. Now let's move on to the second game of this replay. So we're now sticking with the same tech tree, but we are moving up a tier. This is the Japanese tier 6 heavy tank, the OI. We've gone from the OI experimental to the OI. Compared to its tier 5 counterpart, the OI basically loses a lot of the mobility, gains a metric boatload of armour, and keeps a selection of very powerful guns. You have the choice of, I can't remember what caliber it is, it might be another 100mm gun, or a 150mm howitzer, which is very, very similar to the 152mm howitzer you get on the KV-2. Except I think on this tank, yeah, the armor piercing rounds get slightly higher pen. It gets a heat round option that the KV-2 does not get. With 150 pen, of course you can spam a shed load of HE. It also gets 10 degrees of gun depression, and I think the rate of fire might be slightly worse than the KV-2 or something to offset. Oh no, the HE round penetration is slightly worse if memory serves, yeah. But anyway, this is what the tank is, and in this particular game, it is being driven for us by 3 Geist. 3 Geist? I'm just going to call him Geist. And Geist here is top tier here on Cliff. Ah, and that OI experimental dies before Geist can get off a shot. How very, very sad. Ah, well, never mind. Now, you can see he's got armor piercing loaded. With his armor piercing rounds, he gets 121mm of penetration, which is almost as much as the KV-2 gets with its premium armor piercing rounds, actually. And when top tier, it means that with that penetration and 700 alpha damage, you can really wreck face. So there's kill number 1, the enemy SU-100. And you can see here that Geist is doing something that would generally be considered suicide. He is literally just driving down the 1 and 2 lines on this map. Hello, Mr. Firefly. How are you today? Not so well, are you? There's kill number 2. He's literally just driving down the 1 or 2 lines on this map and annihilating anything in his path. So, yeah, I mean, there's a long reload on this gun, and it's inaccurate, but when you can do that, it's very difficult to, well, I find it, I haven't played this tank, so I don't want to be too judgmental, but I find it very difficult to argue that this thing is totally fair and balanced. KV-1 there is using, was firing HE, probably with the 122mm howitzer. Oh, hello, Tog, you poor thing. Now, Geist was showing a little bit of his side armor there, so hence he took the penetrations, or I assume that's where he got penetrated anyway. Yeah, you can see there through the front axle. Side armor on this tank is not particularly good, but generally speaking you don't need the side armor to be very good because you have a shed load of frontal armor. That's going to bounce. Now what he's doing the KV-2 would not be able to do, because the KV-2A has terrible gun depression, so it wouldn't be able to poke around that corner effectively, and B doesn't have the armor to take shots to the face as Geist is doing here. Some more HE from the KV-1. And he actually bounces on the front of the turret of the Tog. Now, If he'd been firing HE, he would at least have done some damage, but conversely, firing AP rounds has meant that he got the kills on the 3 tanks that he has killed. Whereas the HE rounds might have done the job, but they could also have failed him. Aim your shot carefully. There we go, there's kill number 4. It was only a small amount of HP, but it took the TOG out. Now you'll notice there's no artillery on the enemy team here. Which really works out in Geist's favour. I mean, the matchmaking couldn't really be any better. No artillery, tier 6 game. Oh, possible shot into the side of the turret on the KV-1, but it's too much. It's too angled. Perhaps Geist should have tried the side of the hull. And really, Geist is actually doing what I was about to say. He could be loading a HE round here to just finish that guy off, which is what he is doing. So with the HE rounds, he gets 75 pen and a 910 damage on a penetration. So he's just going to move up now to go back and defend the base, basically. He's on 4 kills, he's got a HE round loaded, and he is setting his ammunition to preload an armor-piercing round once he's used this HE round. Looking at the tanks he's facing, I mean, 120 odd penetration is more than enough, is plenty to deal with anything he might come across here. Fires the HE round at the Churchill 1. If it were an AP round, he could have put it straight through the Churchill's turret, but he had the HE loaded for the KV-1, so there we go. And this Churchill 3 has a 6-pounder gun with about 105 mil of penetration. The only way he can contest the OI here is by loading his APCR and firing 180 pen. That's it. KV-85, the last remaining tier 6 on the enemy team, gets rebalanced. So the scoreline is 8-10, despite the fact that Geist has picked up 5 rather impressive kills. KV-1 gets killed by the Churchill just as the Jackson nails the Churchill, so bit of a mutually assured destruction there, and they lose their Jackson now. So this is a kind of awkward situation. 5 kills for Geist. He's slow and ponderous, but he does have a really big gun, and he does actually change it, so he does now have another HE round loaded with armor piercing set to go for his next shot. It's only him and the Hellcat remaining now. And he's just moving up here. I'm going to speed this along a little bit because watching an OI drive around the map is not exactly the most interesting of pastimes. He gets spotted, OI experimental, puts a HE round. If it had been an AP round loaded, then he probably would have just killed the guy, but as it is, it isn't, so he doesn't. VK is whinging about the presence, or the introduction to the game of Japanese heavy tanks, of course, because he just got killed by one. Ironically, it's a Japanese heavy tank on his team who is still in the game and keeping their team's hopes alive. Another armor-piercing round loaded here. Has to be a little bit careful. Hellcat and the KV-1 exchange blows. The KV-1's going to reload before the Hellcat does, and the Hellcat doesn't have the intellect to pull back. But Geist is there to save his bacon for kill number 7. Now there's an Excelsior, a KV-1S, a T1 Heavy, and an AMX ELC BIS left on the remaining team. The Excelsior basically can't penetrate the OI frontally. The OI frontally has no weak spots, and there is the biggest gun remaining on the enemy team, the 90mm gun on the ELC. Geist can't quite kill the guy, but the Hellcat does the business. So, I was going to run through all the tanks remaining and point out how they can't penetrate them apart from the ELC. Excelsior can't. KV-1S could do some damage with the 122mm howitzer if he's using the 85mm gun, not going to do a thing. T1 Heavy, not going to do a thing. They can damage the side, but not the front, I mean. The ELC had the highest penetration, highest alpha damage of any tanks remaining on his team, and if you wanted to load APCR, gets like 250 pen or something obscene. So the ELC actually, in that situation, and in this game, and in a lot of games, can actually play like a tiny, sneaky little tank destroyer. It has quite a punchy 90mm gun. As it is, he is dead. There are 3 tanks left on the enemy team. And the enemy team are capping. T1 Heavy has managed to get himself into a bit of cover. But it looks like there are 2 people in the capture circle. There's the Excelsior. If Geist can nail this guy. And I would preload a HE round here, but as it is, Geist puts the damage into the Excelsior and loads another AP round. But if he preloaded a HE round, he could pretty much guarantee the kill on the Excelsior. And guarantee damage, which of course would interrupt the cap. But let's not worry too much about that. AP round ready to go. Goodbye, Mr. Excelsior. And tanks like the Excelsior, the T14, the Churchill 3, these sort of tier 5 premium heavy tanks have really suffered with the introduction of these Japanese heavy tanks, because they don't have the armor to really contest the guns on these machines, and in the case of the tier 6 they don't have the guns to contest the armor. Oh no! I've shown my side to him! He missed! There we go, KV-1S dead. And that just leaves the T1 Heavy, who is over by the capture circle. Now, can the T1 Heavy damage the front of an OI? Yes, if he loads APCR and still gets a bit of good fortune. He can damage the sides of this tank, but he has to get round to the sides of this tank. Now, the T1 Heavy is a relatively mobile machine. It depends how he plays this. If he goes into a full frontal engagement here, full frontal is something you never want. A full frontal engagement with an OI, he's pretty much guaranteed to lose. If he uses his superior mobility, the T1 Heavy has quite a chunky engine on it, to relocate, go somewhere else, and try and shoot Geist in the sides. Not the rear. The rear is actually quite well armoured on this tank, but the sides, then he has a chance of winning the game. Now, he could just load APCR and try to punch through the front of this tank. His APCR pen is about 170. The frontal armor on this tank is 150 when flat on. But he still has to get a bit lucky not to hit anything that's angled, to hope that Geist doesn't angle the front of his tank, because in any of those situations, even with his APCR, he's going to really struggle. As it is, he tries for the cap, which is not going to work. The T1 Heavy at this point, I mean, he probably doesn't know what to do. This is only a tier 6 game. He is in only a tier 5 tank. He may not have played very many games, but this is pretty much guaranteeing that his team will lose. He is essentially throwing this game away. Maybe he doesn't know what the OI is capable of, but surely he must get a hint after the number of kills. Geist aims his shot and finishes the fellow off. And that is the ridiculous game. Let's go and have a look at the results. So when you look at the results for this game, and indeed the previous game, remember that in each case, matchmaking was very good. In the previous game, the OI Experimental was top tier on Ensk, which is a very small map, so he could just go around and blat people in the face. In this game, the OI was top tier on Cliff, but there was no artillery or anything like that to ruin his day. Either way, Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Shellproof, Defender, Steel Wall, High Caliber, Top Gun, and a Pools Medal for those 10 kills. Do you want to see how much damage he did? Go on, take a guess at how much damage Geist did in a tier 6 heavy tank. Feel free to pause the video if you wish. 6,025 damage done, 10 kills, 2,208 base experience. Holy moly. That is easily more damage than the rest of his team combined. Easily. It's just not even close. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just ridiculous. 17 shots fired, 17 hits, 14 pens for that 6,000 damage count. 24 hits received, of which 16 bounced, and the penetrations he took were mainly either HE shells blowing off his tracks, or damage he took when he was giving people too much of his side armor. If he'd angled his tank better, he'd have taken fewer hits, or fewer penetrations. 2 enemy tanks spotted, 11 damage, 10 destroyed, 512 assistance damage. All of the base defense points, travelled 2.5 kilometers, was running a premium account, and because he did an obscene amount of damage and did not fire any premium ammunition, all of that was a combination of armor piercing and high explosive ammo. he made a 74,000 credit profit times 3 experience event at the time, giving him almost 10,000 experience. Sweet Jesus. Yeah. Now, on my second account, I have played the OI experimental and very quickly come to the conclusion it is overpowered as all hell. That's the tier 5. I have not played this tank. I think it looks overpowered, but I haven't played it, so I reserve my judgment for now. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that pair of games in Japanese heavy tanks at mid tiers. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel. And I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.